The Picture. Written by Melina M. Temiers. A Taipei Publishing production. Content warning. This video contains discussions of obsession, voyeurism, and potential self-harm. There she was, sitting on the chair, naked. Nick couldn't see her face, the camera aimed to capture below her chin. She seemed to be standing still, her right hand resting on her right thigh. Her body had a slight angle to the camera. It was positioned on her right, level with her knees. It was exactly like the picture. Her legs were closed and her nipples showing the effect of the chill. The perfect pose. She didn't look slightly overweight. For him it was always a perfectly proportioned body. Then she began to move once more. Her right hand slipped down from her thigh, unnoticeable at first glance, and disappeared from the frame. Her right leg raised a little, which squeezed her tummy upwards. The shoulders tilted towards the camera as if she were getting closer to saying something. Each time she got closer to the camera, Nick could feel this time her back arching, and her body moved closer. Again a feeling of falling came over him and an involuntary jerking woke him up. He had fallen asleep before in the daytime, since the dreams started, but this was the first time he had the dream during his nap. He sat up, on his friend's couch, tried to piece together how he made it to Hannah's apartment and why. The sound from the kitchen reminded him of the end of summer barbecue she had on her roof deck. Hearing the noise from kitchen, he got up and tried to erase the disheveled look, tucked his shirt back into his jeans, combed his longish hair with his fingers.
Come on now. We had a pool going on at the roof whose kiss will wake the sleeping beauty. Party pooper.
Hannah walked out of the kitchen slowly, holding a tray heaped with chicken and beef for the barbecue, stacked more like Jenga pieces about to fall. As she passed him by in her tortoise speed, she continued with her rant.
I was planning to get you hooked up with Kay. Well, she has poor taste in men, so you still have a chance.
Nick snorted to her ribbing. I am sure this fictional Kay had been dying to meet me.
Smart ass. Wash your face, get the hot dogs, buns, and follow me.
With her hunched frame, death grip on the tray, and cramped steps, she did resemble his grandmother. Knowing how much Hannah cared for her perfected appearance, her signature short blonde haircut, her strict exercise regimen, and weekly nail salon appointments, he kept his observation to himself. Hannah, don't you have any vegetarian friends? Nick asked from the kitchen as he picked up the tower of hot dogs and bag of buns.
Why would I be friends with someone who doesn't eat meat?
Laughing caused a pain somewhere in his brain.
You will not tell me, will you?
She asked with genuine worry when he caught up with her. I am too hungry and too sober to do that.
Let's get on with it. When this party is over, your ass is mine. I will tie you to the chair and put my reading lamp on top of your head if I must.
Cool, a vintage interrogation fantasy, I like it.
Perv.
The afternoon flew by. Nick tried to eat overcooked beef and undercooked chicken. He tried to keep to the beer, alternated with water, till a better chef replaced Hannah behind the grill. His resolution failed. He inhaled the barbecued drums chased with Hannah's signature cocktails, half tequila and half whatever.
Hello.
Among the clouds of laughter and chatter, a voice just next to his ear, a sudden cool passed through him like his body was exposed to a summer breeze.
We haven't met, but I heard a lot about you. My name is Kay.
He never knew why he was such a sucker for a nice deep voice in a woman. He couldn't help but lower his sails and try to enter the port. As usual, he ignored the crowd and concentrated on her. If he was being honest, he forgot the deal he made with Hannah earlier and followed Kay like a puppy as he got ready to leave the party. Hannah appeared right in front of them.
You are coming back, right? Remember? You promised to help with the cleanup?
Nick appreciated the cover Hannah provided while giving them a bit of private time, though most of it was spent on walking to the subway.
Wipe off that Cheshire cat grin off your face.
Hannah said when he walked back half an hour later.
And maybe the lipstick as well. Wow, she is possessive. After the party, I didn't think she had any lipstick left to smear.
He checked his fingers after wiping his lips, but there was no trace of color.
Gotcha,
she said while throwing him the roll of trash bag for him to catch.
Now talk and work.
He needed to get into space of mind before he could explain to her what he was going through. Hannah was like a staple in Nick's life. She was the first person he met when he moved to New York for his master's. He was barely out of college and cocky. Normally meeting with a freshman just out of high school shouldn't have turned into a life-changing event. She was with the wrong crowd and he played the protector. He liked the idea of being the knight in shining armor. She was too traumatized to recognize that he helped her escape. During her recovery, someone told her what happened and how Nick saved her, but she never acknowledged it to his face. He didn't care, especially after 15 years. Instead, she made sure he didn't skip any meals, exercised routinely, got his annual checkup, and cooked a mean chicken soup when he got sick. Maybe it is like that again, he thought. Hannah will take care of me.
So? Will you begin to tell me, or will you just stand and gaze down at me?
She asked. With a deep inhale, Nick responded. Okay, I give up. He pulled one trash bag from the roll, rubbed the plastic between his fingers but couldn't open it. He nearly tore it in the middle by the time he opened it. I am having dreams, he said with clenched teeth. Occasionally? Well, it is the same dream and it started occasionally. Now it is every day.
And what are you dreaming of?
Alice. The two stood looking at each other, as if their face expression could replace what was not said out loud. Nick never thought Alice as the one that got away, and as far as he recalled, Hannah never treated her any differently than his other girlfriends. Hannah's phone ended the stair stand. Nick took a deep breath as he overheard Hannah's conversation with her boyfriend. So where is he? Nick asked casually. Hannah's boyfriend Michael traveled so often for work, his frequent flyer miles had been used for several vacations already. He was suspicious at the beginning, but later he witnessed enough of Michael's workaholism. It helped with his recent promotion, and for the last month or so, his travels had been significantly reduced. This was an exception, which caused him to miss the party.
Just landed in JFK, he's on his way here,
Hannah said as she picked up the thrash bag she had on her hand before she responded to her phone and continued with her cleanup. He followed her lead, waiting for her questions.
So tell me about this dream.
Nick never hesitated when he talked to Hannah. It felt natural to share nearly everything with her. Still, the naked vision of Alice was something he wanted to keep to himself, especially his body's reaction afterwards. It is not necessarily Alice but a photo of her. I mean, I have the photo, but something is different in my dream.
One of her Insta posts?
No, Insta? This was private. Nick focused on the bag in his hand and looked around to find something to fill it with. Hannah was still there, trying to catch his eyes. After an uncomfortable silence, Hannah cleared her throat. Did he have to look at her while talking about Alice's naked picture?
When did it start? Do you remember?
Nick scratched his head, his left eye automatically closed while his right eye looked to the ceiling as if the answer was there. A week or 2 weeks. It is usually at night, but today, and I think on Wednesday, I was working from home and fell asleep at my desk.
You need to see a doctor.
I have been working long hours. I think that is the reason.
That doesn't explain the dreams or the dream.
Hannah looked straight to Nick.
You took me to a shrink, so why can't you take yourself to one?
She was right, he knew it. This was something that bothered him, similar to an earache. It was just a dream and he only saw it once a day, and probably would go away, but it wouldn't hurt to go to a professional. By the time he made it to his bed, he forgot all about his conversation with her. Earlier moments with Kay were more prominent on his mind. Yet in the early hours of the morning he woke up after seeing the same dream, with a shudder, muscles contracting and a painful hard-on. Was it possible he saw the dream twice in one day because he spoke about it to Hannah? Seeing the Dr. Shard in person, he was taken especially with the subtle nuances of his appearance. Instead of the TV version of a cool professor look, this psychologist looked more like a businessman, with his white button-up, gray flannel pants and clean shave. His blue eyes looked calculating and his gray hair actually suited him. Did Doc had grays at an early age? It was hard to imagine him without it. He wondered if Hannah had a crush on him. Heck, he was even developing a bit of a man crush, in a complete straight fashion. He was so absorbed examining him, Nick nearly didn't hear him move from the routine to specific questions.
So this dream you are having, what happens?
She gets closer to the camera, every day closer.
Slow movements, sudden movements? Does she say anything?
Slow. I didn't realize she was moving at the beginning. And no, she doesn't talk.
And you don't see her face?
Nick was uncomfortable, but he was aware he needed to show the photo he was dreaming of. Tapped the search and opened the photo on his cell and handed it to Doc.
When was this photo taken?
First time she stayed over. We usually hang out in her apartment.
Do you always take photos of your girlfriends in your apartment?
No, I never. I mean, this was the only time, more like evidence that she was in my place. Kind of a joke.
And when did you take the picture?
It was early in the morning. He watched as Dr. Shard wrote down another note. Oh, what date? Nick was not doing it on purpose. He didn't think he was asking the date. It was 2 years ago, mid-May. Doc touched his phone screen, swiped back and forth while his eyebrows got closer and created a valley down from his forehead.
What made you keep this picture?
What do you mean?
There are no pictures before this one on your phone. You only transferred this one? Or was this your new phone when you took this?
Nick blushed a bit, then remembered he didn't have to. This guy was a psychologist, a professional. He was not there to judge him, he was there to help. Honestly, I asked that question to myself, but I couldn't come up with an answer. When the salesman told me I could have a discount when I gave the old one, first I was relieved. My phone was full of garbage screenshots, whatnot. Then I remembered this picture.
When did this happen?
About a year ago, maybe 10 months?
So it doesn't coincide with when the dreams had started.
Nick nodded, affirming his observation.
Did you have any other pictures similar to this from your other girlfriends? Or some other kind of picture like this?
You mean, do I keep a spank bank? Not really. And I never took my other girlfriends' naked pictures. I mean, they sent some to me.
This one you took. And she knew.
Of course.
Well, I don't see her face in this picture, so I wouldn't know if she consented or not.
Nick felt Doc's eyes traveling all over his body, from his face to his chest to his hands, searching for something. As he observed the Doc observing him, Nick thought about what he said. Hannah came to his mind. If he ever came across a picture of her like that, he would ask the same questions.
Can you please share what you are thinking?
Why?
When I questioned Alice's consent, you opened and closed your mouth several times. Then you stopped, your shoulders went back, and your eyes looked to the side. You thought of something that kept you from responding, or saying the first thing that came to your mind.
I thought of Hannah. I mean, I would question her consent if I come across something like this about her.
I am glad that you opened the subject. I've always heard Hannah's side of your friendship. May I ask a couple of questions about it? To hear your side.
The rest of the session, actually what was left of it, was spent on his history with Hannah and how they became friends. The questions about their friendship dominated the next session and his opinion on her relationship with Michael. Nick admitted liking Michael better than her other boyfriends and didn't see his relationship with Hannah as an obstacle. And it was a great development. Now Michael's work will not demand him to travel this much.
Do you think your dream started with Michael's job change?
No, I don't think so. I don't recall having the dream then. This started to happen long after that. I mean, if I had feelings about that, shouldn't have my subconscious reacted earlier? Also, why am I seeing Alice in my dream instead of Hannah?
All good questions, but something else came to my mind. Have you ever seen Hannah in your dreams?
Nick was only able to nod.
I am not surprised. Her prior psychologist forwarded me the file along with the pictures. You were definitely in the right place at the right time. Do you still dream about it?
No, I didn't dream about it after a while. I think it is because Hannah never talks with me about that day. Heck, she doesn't even remember that I was there. She was beaten bloody, her clothes torn off, but still fighting. Dreams continued nightly, but he woke up with less panic. In fact, couple of days before his session with Doc for the third time, he realized he didn't have the falling down feeling. There was hope. In the third session, Doc asked about his mother. My mother? She is well, like any other mother, I guess. She cooked, cleaned, and spoiled me. Why did psychologists always have this fascination with the past? Doc would be watching out for the signs, and Nick had spent years training his body to hide his secrets. He maintained eye contact, controlled his breathing, and added a lazy scratching of his face, perfected with the 2-day stubble.
How about your father?
He was ready for this question as well. Nick talked about how he worked all the time and died when he was 12. Doc didn't need to hear how he died and why his mother spent 4 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter. He didn't have to remember his father's abuse or how his mother had to defend herself. But he wanted to forget his helplessness, how he failed to protect his mother. At least she was living in a retirement community in Florida now, where no one knew of her past.
So a classic household till age 12. How did your mother manage after your father's early demise?
Nick was ready for this too. Heck, he had repeated this lie so many times it became true for him. She started to work, of course, in my father's place and moved to another state to save money. She didn't want me to change school or my routine, so Grandma came over to live with me. And right on the clock, Doc asked about potential abandonment issues. This was not his first time with a psychologist. His grandma was a firm believer of positive sciences and made sure that he got counseling. Later at school, his anger issues were addressed by the school psychologist and counselor. Even at college, he was expected to get counseling. Until he saw Hannah trying to peel herself away from 2 guys in her underwear. He no longer had anger issues, he was needed after all. The dreams continued. Alice was still moving towards the camera, but she started to halt once her upper body covered his whole vision. To stop these dreams, he came up with several plans. The first one was to get too tired during the day or stay awake for 24 hours, but dreamless sleep was not in the cards. So he immediately moved to the second plan, normalizing it. Once he got up in the middle of the night, instead of staying up, he turned on soft music to go back to sleep. Which is why in his third session with Doc he was in a better mood. I am going on a date tonight, a first since these dreams started. Nick announced and spent the whole session talking about Kay. Just as Nick was leaving, Doc asked a question.
Can you tell me why you don't like to talk about Alice?
I do talk about Alice.
Granted, this is only the 4th session, but you let me drive the 2nd and 3rd sessions, not once brought up Alice. I thought you would in this session, but you announced your preference at the beginning to talk about Kay, whom you only met once. I know, you have been texting as well.
What do you want me to say?
I just want you to think about it. I mean, yes, a date with Kay is important. She is enticing enough to go out on a date, while you still dream of Alice daily. I am assuming it is, so since you continue coming every week. I need you to think. Why are you seeing this dream? Why are you only seeing her body?
Nick should have postponed the dinner to next day at least and gathered himself a bit. From the time he left the doctor's office to his apartment, he had a splitting headache and thinking of what Doc implied. It was not too late to cancel, but this would mean giving up, and he never gave up. He didn't allow it. He soldiered on, changed for dinner and made it to the restaurant although he was 5 minutes late. He made an effort, he really tried, yet he failed miserably at following what Kay talked about. Nick was thankful for her. She was not a difficult date, in fact quite accommodating. She seemed to be okay when he couldn't continue with the conversation and didn't push or frown. He explained the headache early on and she sounded understanding. It was nice to share a dinner with someone and eat in silence, with some hint of awkwardness. Hannah, I blame you for my failed attempt at dating, Nick said as he sat down for lunch date they agreed a couple of days later.
Kay said she enjoyed herself, but didn't know what to do with that weird kiss on her forehead. What were you thinking?
She tilted her head sideways, as if looking at him from a different angle would help. It is Dr. Shard. He is in my brain.
How is it going? He is quite clever, isn't he?
Nick hated bursting Hannah's bubble, but he really didn't care for the doctor. Maybe that was a good thing, or a bad thing, depending on how he approached the subject. It was good because he would not take the doc's words like a Bible and drink the Kool-Aid just because he said so. It could be bad too, he might refuse every one of Doc's opinions and suggestions just because he suggested them.
I started to wonder actually.
Hannah brought him back to the present, but she seemed to have a faraway look.
What if you were really in love with Alice and you were seeing these dreams because you were scared of forgetting her?
Nick had to stop himself before revealing the subject of the photo lacking Alice's face. So to cover it he made a non-committal and took a bite from his burrito.
I did look for her after you told me about your dream.
He looked into Hannah's eyes as he continued chewing, while motioning with his hand for her to continue.
I remembered she used to work around Grand Central, so I took a walk there after work and at lunch hour several times. Well, I didn't run into her, but who knows, maybe I will.
Are you getting a bit obsessed about it? Nick said as he mimicked her earlier pose of tilting his head sideways and squinted his eyes as if he needed glasses.
Shut up,
Hannah said as she threw her napkin to his face. Next session Nick started from the beginning, how he met with Alice, how long they dated, what kind of a person she was, what she liked and didn't like, anything and everything he could remember. And it turns out he remembered a whole lot about her, even after 2 years.
How about Kay? Does she resemble Alice?
No, why?
Well, every man has a type, there is no shame in it.
Come to think of it, I do prefer to date women who are slim and have a deeper voice. I think it is called alto? And I have to admit I dated with more brunettes than blondes. The dream started to change a bit after that session. After the body stopped moving, the skin started to change slightly, as if it was peeling in some spots. He started to drink something warm and listen soft music or nature sounds to fall asleep and later to go back to sleep. It didn't ease up the dream, but he was glad that he was still not waking up with that falling feeling. Nick checked on everything he had on Alice to make sure that there was nothing wrong with her, or that she might have gotten sick.
Why did you leave Alice?
Doc asked in their 6th session. I didn't leave her, she did. While we were dating I had a one-night stand and she found the earrings on my coffee table.
One-night stand? Why?
I guess I was horny, Nick shrugged his shoulders, some acquaintance of a friend, we met at the bar. It just happened.
And it was not cheating?
No, it was cheating.
A man who cheats wouldn't say one-night stand. Usually the description is more in the lines of acceptance of a guilt like a moment of weakness or just a one-time incident. One-night stand is usually used when you are single.
You think I was not seeing myself in a relationship? Nick wanted to sound accusatory, but when the words got out of his mouth, they ended up with a question mark.
I know it will sound like changing the topic, but just roll with this for a moment. Do you think this is all because of Hannah?
He straightened up from his seat, his fingers grasping the armchair. How did Doc catch up to him?
Admit it, It is rare for a man and a woman to have a close relationship without sex and for this long. It looks like you two have achieved it, but is it possible that your relationship with Hannah has changed your perspective on sex? Maybe you are not seeing sex as part of building a meaningful connection with a woman.
Nick didn't feel relief hearing what Doc was not saying. He protected women, especially the ones that were important to him. Was that changing his view on sex? Nick was not ready for this. He had a healthy sexual appetite, but he didn't have hookups anymore. He had become more selective over the years for sure, but this was nothing to do with his protective streak towards women. He didn't know how others do it, but he had found himself thinking of what he had talked with Doc during the week as if he had homework that he had to do before the next appointment. His sleep was getting worse. He really didn't want to see Alice's decomposing skin. He only napped for 15 to 20 minutes at a time and found things to keep himself up. For his 7th therapy session, he felt like an eager teenager getting to the stage in debate class. Once more Doc came from his blind side and threw him a punch. Before he sat, Doc asked if he was looking at Alice's picture. "Yes, I do, sometimes more than once a day."
Why?
The dream. The skin started to change. It is a healthy color in the picture, albeit the picture looks a bit like a black and white, since I took it early in the morning. In the dream, after she comes close, the skin color changes from pale to gray and parts start to ooze like pustules. I mean, I have never seen a decomposing body in real life or a movie, but something tells me it is decomposing.
Or maybe it is infected?
Nick's throat was clogged, he could only nod.
So you look at her picture for what?
Maybe to assure myself that she was all right then. I mean, if her account was not private, I would have looked at her current pictures on Facebook.
So you looked for her? What did you find?
She is married and moved to Nevada. Nothing else, no pics, no name change. I mean, I thought by finding her I was going to stop seeing these dreams, but...
When did you do that?
I think about a month ago, around the time I took Kay out to dinner.
And you didn't tell this to Hannah?
No, I did.
No, you didn't, because Hannah told me what she told you on that lunch you two had. When she told you she was walking around Grand Central for you, if she can spot Kay.
Oh, I must have forgotten to tell her.
And she is still eating her lunch around Grand Central.
Nick moved his eyes from Doc's to his lap, a blush rushing to his cheeks.
You didn't know.
At least Doc's tone reduced Nick's shame a little.
Okay, let's move to another topic. How much do you sleep at night?
Nick didn't feel like talking about his sleep either, but that is why he was there. Maybe an hour or two. I used to listen to music, take melatonin, or have herbal tea before trying to go back to sleep, but... He shrugged his shoulders. He really didn't care to tell all about the sleep remedies he tried.
My colleague Dr. Namdar can prescribe a mild sleeping pill.
How about a strong one? The sleeping pill worked for 3 days. He got hopeful enough to ask Kay for a second date, and didn't mind at all when she brushed him off saying she was busy. It was fine. The 4th night the dream was back with a vengeance. Nick tried to wake himself up before Alice's body covered all of his vision, and he found himself on the floor, his shoulder hurt and his heart racing to get out of his chest. He went to the emergency room to make sure there was no serious damage to his shoulder. The next day, scared of seeing the dream again, he took 2 pills instead of 1. 2 days later he was in front of the doc, much rested, but hesitant. He didn't know what to do. Should he come clean about doubling the dose of the meds or not? Should he tell him that he threw himself off the bed to avoid the dream?
Anything you want to share?
Nick didn't realize the doc was sitting in front of him. Sorry, my mind is just... Do you mind repeating?
I didn't say anything. Gathering wool.
Probably.
Did the pills help at all? Were you able to get any rest?
The way Doc asked the question eased Nick's mind a bit, so he told him when the dream came back, but kept the fact that he doubled the dose to himself.
I will ask Dr. Namdar to increase the dose. However, reach out to me or Dr. Namdar in case if the new dose wouldn't work. Don't wait for our weekly session. He might want to change the medication.
Nick relaxed a little, so in a way he did the right thing, just didn't informed about the last 2 days, so it was fine. When the dream didn't come back for whole week, Nick knew he did the right thing. He thought of reducing the dose, but in the next session Doc advised against it.
It is not a high dose that could create a health issue. Leave it for now. So any plans this week? Thinking of calling Kay?
I don't know really. She brushed me off last time and I don't want to be the creep calling her all the time.
Hannah told me about a dinner. Do you think Kay will come?
Nick jolted a bit. Hannah did invite him to a dinner, which he was not really thinking of attending. She was excited about it, her Pinterest full of table settings and recipes for a sit-down dinner. She was planning on introducing Michael to everyone in her circle since he missed her party about 2 months back, so there was a high possibility of Kay being there. Nick wondered why Hannah had to give a dinner party. They have already started to live together too. It was right before he needed the sleeping pills. I am not sure, I am afraid I might not be a good company.
But you just talked about not seeing the dream for a week now.
I don't know, I don't want to make Kay uncomfortable. Maybe I don't want to hear the ribbing of Hannah's friends again, you know, does your husband aware you have a lover? Nick didn't care for it initially but got over it after a while. He knew he was too close to Hannah and maybe it was better if he was not there at that dinner. So he added that for Doc to chew on a bit.
She might want you to be there. Maybe it is important for her and she needs your support.
Are they getting married? Doc's face was still, as if he was not talking. He wondered if he said that out loud. So he repeated himself and added, she doesn't need to wine and dine me to give the news. It is great. After a smile he asked again, oh, were you supposed to keep it a secret? Sorry.
Hannah thought you may not attend. Apparently, she invited you several times to dinner and you declined.
They just moved in together. I didn't want to intervene. The same night the dream came back worse than ever. This time he couldn't wake up on time, woke up on the floor, his whole body trembling and his ankle hurting. In the emergency room X-ray was clean, it was sprained. They sent him back home with some muscle relaxers. Back in his apartment, instead of going to sleep he sat in front of the computer and started checking on Alice. He was getting sluggish, his eyes closing on their own accord, so he found his way back to his bed, forgetting to turn off the lights. In the morning, he woke up to the knocking at the door.
Nick?
Another set of bangs.
Nick, are you there?
Hannah was at the door. He slowly got up and sat right back. His ankle hurt like hell. He picked up his phone to call Hannah but he was too late. She walked in with the super of the building.
What the hell, Nick? Why are you not answering your phone?
She rushed into his bedroom. I was sleeping. Wow. I was actually sleeping.
Of course you were. If I would take a sleeping pill with muscle relaxers, I wouldn't even wake up. Ever.
What? When did I take a muscle relaxer? Nick's memory was patchy at most. He remembered going to the emergency room and getting treated. He didn't remember the rest of the night too much.
They called this morning. The emergency room nurse couldn't reach you. Thank God I am your emergency contact. During the shift change, they checked your records. You are in luck. The dose of the sleeping pill you are taking is not much. But still you had the muscle relaxer on top of it. If I didn't answer, they were going to call the cops for a welfare visit. They might have already reached to Dr. Shard.
Hannah's voice surrounded him. At first her chatter was coming from his right but it moved to his left and his eyes got heavier. Nick wanted to slide between his sheets while she continued on talking. His eyes were already closed when he felt his pillow under his cheek while his feet were still on the floor. He was too sleepy to pull them up to the bed. Hannah's voice turned into a murmur and got quiet at the end. Nick relaxed into his sleep, thinking she went back home to Michael. His computer was off anyway, she wouldn't have seen a thing. He was not sure if she was still in the apartment. Was his sleep getting deeper? He was glad he checked on Alice. He checked on everyone. On Hannah's boyfriend, her family, his mother in Florida, Alice, her husband. Heck, he even started to check on Kay. Last night he forgot to check on Kay. He didn't like the guy who picked her up from her apartment. He looked slimy. Maybe Kay would be happier with Dot. He was alone most nights. Since Hannah started her sessions with him, Nick placed the monitors all around his house and after 6 months, appreciated Doc's nightly routine. He took a screenshot one day. It looked so picturesque, he framed it and hung it in his living room. Doc's face was not visible, only his hand resting on the armchair and half of his head from behind. It was the perfect depiction of resting one's mind. Nick thought because he listened to too many people and wanted to be alone at night. Kay liked silence too. Just like he made sure Alice met with that detective. He made sure she recognized Nick when he followed her, and left some obvious traces in her apartment so the police detective from the district would spend time with her. Was Hannah whispering again? Why was she still here? He was fine, a bit drowsy yes, and he admitted his memory was spotty. He thought he watched Alice with her police detective husband last night making love. Or was he dreaming? No, in his dreams he didn't see Alice's face, only her body, and she was always alone, posing like the way he took her photo. So it was not a dream? He was confused. Nick opened his eyes, but didn't move his head. His door was within his sight from where he slept, but the door was closed. How did he hear Hannah whispering if the door was closed? He slowly got up and checked the time. It was 8 a.m., so how long did he sleep? Hannah's apartment was 2 train stops away. He tried to calculate in his head, but came up more confused. He tried not to put his weight on his injured ankle and got closer to the door. Muffled sounds came from the other side of the door. One was definitely Hannah, but who was the other one?
That is my bedroom, I am telling you, and this woman sleeping in this window is Alice, his ex.
And the guy next to her?
I don't know who he is.
So you two are dating?
No, he is my friend. I mean, he saved me from getting gang raped when I was 17 and protected me. He helped me get over so much. But why did he do that if he was?
The computer expert is on his way. He could just take the laptop and analyze the feeds.
This is not his only computer. 2 more are in his second bedroom.
Nick stood for a while trying to hear a bit more. He wondered when Hannah would recognize what kind of a mistake she was making. How did she expect him to protect her if he was not tracking her? He needed to know what was happening. Alice was scared too. Granted, she feared him, which was ridiculous. He would never hurt anyone. In fact, he dedicated his life to protecting them. He heard footsteps, walking into his living room. Did they leave his apartment door open?
Hannah.
This was Doc. What was he doing here? Nick didn't want him to see these, or the picture of Doc's living room hanging on the wall. He would judge him, he definitely would. Nobody would understand him, why would they? He was a protector, that was his mission in life. He was special, he was. He couldn't breathe, he needed fresh air. He opened the window. He still couldn't breathe, his hands were shaking as he pulled up the screen too. There he was on the 5th floor and he couldn't feel any breeze. He needed air. Nobody would believe his dream, only what they see. Did Doc believe his dream? He didn't have to go out to see how they would judge him. He put his hands out on the window stool, and leaned as much as he could. The traffic noise from the street muted the conversations flowing from the living room. Soon they would walk in and take him away. But then who would protect them? Nobody knew him. He didn't want to be judged by anyone, he just wanted to breathe. He saw a gray pigeon take a flight from the window stool it perched on. Now there was an idea. The end. Thanks for listening. The Picture by Melina M. Temiers. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tales Enjoyed.